Did you make any other recruiting efforts or just the response to the Instagram post?
Yeah, I guess he didn't see it, but yeah, I kept it with the IG comment just to see just how hungry he was to be a Packer. But I guess he had other plans. But yeah, it stopped at that comment.
Whether it's this player or really any other player where it's a big name player, what do you guys in the locker room? Do you guys talk about that? Do you get excited, or is it just news until there's something happens one way or the other?
I mean, it's just news. I mean, especially here. I wasn't expecting that to happen anyway. But you know, if it was a little bit more, I think they got a pretty good feeling of how we're gonna move as a defense. So I wasn't really expecting it to happen. I only commented that to start just to be funny. But yeah, I mean, it'd be great to have him. He's a great player, one of the best in the league still for sure. So. It wasn't a joke like I didn't want him here. Definitely would want him here, but definitely did not expect us to pick him up.
Are you planning to?
Is there some more with Jalen Smith now?
Potentially, I'll let you know. I'm not sure yet.
Hey, Davante, just from where you were sitting, what was sort of your reaction to watching Randall, kind of have the performance he did, and how big was he to, especially on third downs, to get that kind of production on Sunday?
I mean, I've been waiting for it. I mean, obviously, it hadn't been too long of a wait, but I was super excited, man. I mean, I'm so proud of what he's done, and happy, and also know that he got a lot left in the tank too. I mean, what you saw out there, he can contribute that, with more opportunities week in and week out. So, just another added feature to our offense, and we obviously didn't have him even out there too much before that. So for that to happen, I'm sure we'll continue to go in that direction. It'll help free up the run game, hopefully take some coverage off me, and we can all just go out there and rock out like we did in the old days.
Davante, I know you guys always say next man up, and we've had to miss a few games last year. Aaron Jones has missed a few games. The caliber of players that you have so much uncertainty with how long they'll be out, how important is the message from you, like a veteran, to the rest of the locker room with what's at stake this season about keeping the focus on what it needs to be on?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the team that we have. It's not a whole lot that needs to be said. I think with the players, it's kind of having that awareness is already there, and it's key. Obviously, being in the league, knowing that there's a short window, and some great players were born off of injuries. So I think these guys understand that, and it makes my job as a captain, as a leader, really easy when you have guys that are that tapped into what they're doing, taking their reps serious. Just in the event that something does happen. They can be ready to go. So, that's already the focus for this team, so it's pretty easy on my end.
Is that the most blatant someone's doubled you throughout a game in this past weekend with Pittsburgh? I mean, just saying.
Not
As
really.
far as the consistent, like throughout the game, probably. But it's like I say every week, it's a copycat league. They see what other people do, and hopefully we'll see what happens this week. Hopefully we can just get out there, and it's a pretty unfamiliar opponent. So hopefully they think let's just let our guys go at it, and that'd be a fun day. So that's kind of what you got to deal with. But when Cobby steps up like that, the rest of the guys making the most of their opportunities, it doesn't really matter if it comes to me in particular. We just want to make sure we're continuing to move the ball and put pressure on these defenses.
Kind of going off that, Davante, you've always been your personal goals. You've pretty much kept personal. But have they changed much over the years, and specifically this year? Are your goals to you different, or have they changed?
No, I make them. I mean, I push the envelope every year. I want to try to get better and better. So my numbers, the touchdowns, all that stuff will come. So at the end of the day, yeah, we're sitting at 1 right now. So I still want to push and get as many or more than what I did last year. But as a receiver, you're only in control of so many things, man. I can't control what defenses they play. If they really don't want me to get the ball that bad, then other guys will be able to step in and make up and put the ball in the end zone. You see Aaron Jones had 4 that 1 week, so it's about winning games. So, the more he does that, hopefully they'll start packing a box and then give me a couple more opportunities again. So we'll see. But, yeah, to me it doesn't really matter. I definitely set those goals and want to hit them and try to, one-up myself each week even. But it's not always going to be that simple, and we know that. So for me right now, it's just locking in on what I got to do and keep running routes, getting open.
As far as film study goes, and preparing for teams and defenses and defensive guys that you don't see very often 2 weeks in a row, what's the unique challenge of that and playing those kind of unfamiliar teams?
I mean, I haven't talked to you very much, but my mentality is it really doesn't really matter. It's not a whole lot about who's guarding me. I try to set the tempo and the pace of how we're going to play, and just make them chase me around. That's the idea for me. So yeah, unless you really got our offense down, it's going to be tough to get a beat on what we do because we kind of marry a lot of things together. So I'm always able to kind of have that little bit of an advantage, I guess, by them playing a little bit slower and me going 100 miles an hour. So it doesn't really change too much for my preparation. I don't really watch too much for the DB. It's more of seeing how they respond to getting blocked, how quickly they bite on stuff like that, and then from there it's just going to execute what I do.
That said, when you do look at the film, what's allowed them to have a 3-1 start this year? I know they haven't won a lot of games previously.
I mean, they made some personnel changes, and obviously they've done something with their coaching as well. It's early, so it's really hard to put my finger on exactly what is leading to their success. But they got some good players, man. They got some good wideouts. They got a really good young quarterback, and they got some impact players on defense as well. So you put all that together and you start to execute and really find how you fit within your scheme. I mean, typically that's how it goes. If you have good personnel, it just takes a little bit of you got to be cohesive as a unit, and it seems like that's what they're doing right now.
Davante, you were saying to Matt, that you haven't talked to him very much, but the rest of us have heard you talk many times about your film approach. Mm-hmm. Are there players that have been exceptions to that rule for you? Like, was Stephon Gilmore one of those exceptions? Like, are there guys that that you do watch because they're at another level?
I mean, I don't try to disrespect anybody by with that mentality. It's just more so specifically my skill set, the way that I play. It just doesn't, at the end of the day, you got to be psychic on certain releases and stuff. It's about the presentation. I can go on TV, I could talk with Michael Irvin, Randy Moss, Charles Woodson, and talk about releases and basically give away what I'm doing. But it's all about the presentation. When it's man coverage and you got a guy in front of you, if he makes it look like he really want to get inside, and he has to go outside, you got to respect it. Otherwise, you'll get beat if I do go. So for me, it doesn't really change too much because, like I said, I'm gonna get up there and still a human being at the end of the day. Just because you make a few plays, you also got to look at who they make the plays on too. You go out there and have 2 catches for 20 yards, and they advertise that as how they defended against whatever wideout. You got to look at who that was and how they run routes, how consistently they run routes. Are they trying to get open every time? Because every time I run a route, I'm gonna try to murder you. So that's my mentality, and most people don't have that mentality. So that's really what ultimately leads to the way that I study, basically.
So then, has this been? I understand it's not like you're new here in terms of being a good player, but have the first 4 games been more challenging than ever before, based on just how flat out committed teams are, even more so than before? Try and take you out. Is that fair, or am I wrong?
Yeah, I mean, it's more so the extra. No, that's definitely fair, but I'll say that the extra that needs to be put in is more the mental of trying to figure out what plays we should run to do it. It's not trying to study more defense, because if I line up and I see a guy's pressing me outside leverage, somebody's going to be, there's something coming. If they want to mug up and act like the safety's blitzing off the edge and he's sitting there waiting for Aaron, I mean, it's not very many times they're going to trust that DB to be there. So for my mind, it's, okay, well, where's the help coming from? And I'm starting to think about things like that. So I can, at this point in the week, talk to Matt about that. And if we don't have resolve, during the week, then at least during the game, I can go back and say, this is what I'm thinking, and, we can try to do this thing, because that's not me just saying, Matt, give me the ball. That's how we kind of work. He wants me to talk to him and tell him, what I'm seeing out there and what I think, because the way that I think about football is, I think, also pretty different than other wideouts too. So, yeah, hopefully that answers you.
Davante, in the last week of August, as camp is winding down, you had a practice where you're outside and the thunderstorm rolled in while you're doing team, so you go inside. It gave me closer access. And I watched the first team came off, and you and Aaron were working on something. He had like an idea. You're working on your footwork. He's talking about, and what I couldn't get over was the energy level. It was like game-like conditions where you're trying to create and come up with something. And sure enough, you run this play in the next series. where he hits you on a short one down on the left corner. Is it always like that during practice, or is that sets a tone for those 23-year-olds watching you do this?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, it does. I mean, I'm sure if you went up to Tesla, you see Elon Musk and whoever he's supposed to be talking to, they'd be having pretty intense conversation about what they do. It's really the same for us. I mean, it's obviously a much different world, but the way that we look at our craft and our job is similar to, the way that they would in my mind. I mean, I haven't really spent much time around Elon, but I would imagine that it'd be pretty intense when they're talking about I don't know car parts that many either, but, putting this to that and doing all that, it's going to be a lot. So we get fired up. We're football nerds, me and Aaron. So that's the type of stuff that gets us excited, is talking about scheme and ways to, it gets more and more challenging the more plays you make, more they respect him, the more they respect me. It's going to be tougher and tougher. So it just kind of it allows us to pick up our level of thinking, our pace, everything. So it's fun. So we definitely get turned up off of that sometimes.
Davante, we joke about reaching out to Stephon or reaching out to Jalen Smith, but given the stakes of this season and the one and done, maybe you don't know what the future is going to be, is there an urgency among the players? We got to add to this roster now and do everything that can be done just to get over that hump?
Well, that's the mentality every year. I mean, my third year, I was hoping that we could sign somebody so, we could make a run at it, or my second year or whatever it was, every time. This year is not really any different as far as that. As long as I'm a Green Bay Packer, I'm going to be trying to win a Super Bowl, and that's going to be my mindset regardless. So, this year, obviously, there's a lot more drama and all that, but we don't think about that. When it's time to win games, I want to have whoever is here this year, next year, the year, 2 years ago. That's just kind of the mindset, is whatever it can take to, bring this team a championship.
You're so hyper-focused, of course, on your craft, but you practiced against Jair, practice after practice, year after year. What are the things that you see as an elite receiver that set him apart as an elite corner?
Probably, you hear me talking about my football mind. I would probably say same with Jair. His attention to detail is it's unmatched for a young guy, and he's obviously getting older now. But he came in, and I told y'all about the story about beating him in that his first practice, and him coming to the locker room and pulling up the film before people were even looking at their phones. So I'd say it's probably his mind, man. He takes his job serious. He moves unlike any DB that I've seen here, as far as like just the way he moves, like his vibe. Like, he's to himself a lot of times, and I could just tell that there's a certain level of, he maintains that to kind of his yoga, like his yogi type mentality. It kind of carries over to how he is just on a day-to-day. You could see him really tapped into, what he has to do. He takes those other guys under his wing. The second year, he was already teaching guys how to move around and, how to best play certain leverages and whatever coverage. So he's always been like a vet to me, though, since he first got here, just based off of how he came in and kind of had that old school rookie mentality. So got a lot of respect for him for that.
Two more for Davante.
You've gone against Kevin King for years. You spent all summer against Stokes. I'm sure you've seen Channing quite a bit. What's your level of confidence that those guys can pick up the slack if Jair's out for the long haul here?
It's obviously big shoes to fill. Jair's all over the place. I mean, he makes a lot of plays. It's not often that you see a play made on him. Even the one in the game, the touchdown, was a push-off. So it's going to be tough to feel exactly what he does out there, but those guys have been working. They take it serious as well. Kev is obviously, he's been around here for a while too. He's made a lot of plays for us, and he's had his ups and downs, but I think where his mind is right now, just as long as he's feeling good physically, I think he can go out there and hold his own at any point in time. And same with Sully. He's since he came in his rookie year, or his second year, I believe, was when he first got here. I noticed something in him as well, where it's kind of like Jair-like as far as the attention to detail. And when he goes out there every single practice to get better. And not everybody does do that. Everybody on our team does, but not everybody in the league does that. So I definitely respected him for that when he first got here as well. So those guys can definitely make some plays. So I'm sure that they're looking forward to getting out there and doing that.
Hey, Davante,
Randall told us after the game that Aaron's been addressing the team more after games than he did in the past. And then he said that wasn't something he necessarily had been comfortable with before. As pretty well-spoken fellow yourself. What's your assessment of him as a post-game orator, and what do you think of what he's been doing in that role?
Well, I think he came into it when he first got back. He didn't want to. It seemed like it was not a fear of stepping on toes, but he just wanted to kind of let everybody get to know him a little bit, because a lot of guys, we got a whole bunch of new guys since 2018 when he was last here. So he wanted to kind of get warm a little bit. Same with me first getting in the league. I didn't want to come in and say, hey, I'm here and this is what I got to say. Sometimes you just got to chill and earn guys' trust, and I feel like that's what he did when he first got back. And now, I mean, he's got a lot of experience. Everybody knows he was a captain when he was here. I don't remember what year. I know we did playoff captains. I think that's when he was. Was it 14? That's the last time. But yeah, when I first got here, he was a captain. So it's nothing new for him. But he just wanted to have a little bit of credibility behind it, with at least learning, a few guys' names before he did all of that. But now he's back to the old Cobby on the field, as you can see, and as far as what he can bring leadership-wise. So back to normal Cobby. We love it.